When did a gut feeling save your life? It started like any other Tuesday in chemistry class. We were halfway through a lab when the fire alarm went off. Normally, alarms meant relief, an excuse to ditch equations and stand outside in the sun for 10 minutes. The teacher clapped his hands, rolling his eyes. All right, everyone, you know the drill. Out into the hallways, single file. But the second I stood up, something inside me twisted. It wasn't nerves, it was instinct. The sound blaring through the speakers wasn't the usual pulse of the fire alarm. Normally, it was a repeating pattern, almost like a siren. This was just one long, unbroken beep. It drilled into my ears like static. Then I noticed something else. Every drill we'd ever had. Mr. Langley, the janitor, was already waiting in the hall, clipboard in hand, whistle around his neck, ushering us into straight lines like a general commanding troops. He took pride in safety drills. He'd lecture us if our shoes weren't tied properly for the evacuation. But this time, the hall was empty. Let's go, people, the teacher urged, but my chest tightened. Something was off. When I reached the doorway, I raised my hand. Can I run to the bathroom first? The teacher frowned, but waved me on. Make it quick. I slipped away from the group and headed in the opposite direction, down the stairwell. The long beep followed me, vibrating in my chest. I ducked into the bathroom, locked the stall, and just sat there, listening. My heart pounded so loud I could barely hear anything else. Then, faintly, underneath the drone of the alarm, footsteps, heavy ones, not the shuffle of hundreds of kids filing outside, but deliberate, steady steps echoing down the hall. And then voices, not panicked students, not teachers, calm, low voices. Second floor is clear. Move them toward the gym. Something icy slid down my spine. My school never evacuated to the gym. Never. I peeked through the crack in the stall door. Nothing. Just that horrible beep. I waited another 30 seconds, then crept out and pressed my ear to the hallway door. More voices. They're funneling down now. Lock the exits after. That's when it hit me. This wasn't a drill. It wasn't even a fire. Someone was using the alarm. I didn't think. I just moved. I bolted down the back stairwell, the one nobody ever used because it smelled like mold and paint thinner. At the bottom, I shoved through the service exit. Cold air slammed my face. For a second, I just stood there, gasping, staring at the empty parking lot. And then shouts, not from behind me, from the other side of the building. Screams. I didn't stay to find out why. I sprinted across the lot, ducked behind a dumpster, and pulled out my phone with shaking hand. I dialed 911 and told them everything about the alarm, the weird tone, the missing janitor, the voices. The dispatcher's voice sharpened instantly. Stay hidden. Police are on their way. Minutes later, sirens wailed, not the fake kind, real ones. I watched from behind the dumpster as squad cars screeched to a stop in front of the school. Officers poured inside. More shouts followed. It wasn't until much later that I learned the truth. A group of men had hacked the alarm system, trying to lure the entire school into one place, the gym. They had weapons, plans. If I had just gone along like everyone else, if I hadn't listened to that knot in my stomach, I might not be telling this story. People call it instinct. Others call it paranoia. I call it survival, because sometimes the only thing standing between you and disaster is a gut feeling you can't explain, and the smartest thing you'll ever do is listen to it.